Thank you for joining us for this 10 o'clock show. We're honored that you're taking your Sunday to join us. Of course, if you don't join us right now live, we'll have it on the Facebook page and Judy will shoot it out to the world. And we'll also put it on the website, on the e-blast. So it streams, it goes viral. So thank you to Judy. Welcome to RenéMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm RenéMarie. Of course, Jim, our technical engineer, is not with us, and that means I got to do a little extra editing and work and producing, but we do whatever we got to do in life to get it done, because I was telling to Ralph, we have an urgency. That's my word. That's the word.
Absolutely.
Urgency. So everybody will get it, and that, like, I don't know. Ever since I heard that, I'm like, that's the word I've been looking for over 30 years that my stroke happened. Urgency. Like, that's why I am who I am, and we'll get into that some more. But some stuff that I shared in our first show that we're working on, the Language of Love Foundation. Of course, we're working on the 10-year telethon in October, November. Our telethon is going to be a 10-year milestone mark. It really is a milestone. David and Lori are working on the song to promote for the telethon, to be a theme song for our telethon. That's very exciting. We're working on a gala, which, Ralph and Lawnae, right?
Lawnae.
Lawnae. Lawnae. Sorry, just got to keep repeating it to me. Lawnae. We'd love for them to join us with that too. We're working on a kind of gala. Tim Tebow. We're really reaching out to Tim Tebow for his influence on a gala to celebrate life for stroke survivors. We're working on a store that you can go on and purchase a nice, hopeful shirt and hat and water bottle and sweats and shoes and whatever. It's very exciting stuff. And I think, Marlon is working on May is Stroke Awareness Month. So Marlon's working on an event to bring stroke awareness to Care One. That's where he works. So we have a lot of wonderful stuff going on. And our special guest, Ralph and Lawnae, who she has not joined us yet. Life gets in the way, but Judy is going to begin the show with the press so that we can begin to navigate. Ralph, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just heard from Lawnae. Her cousin is very, very, very sick and was rushed to the hospital yesterday. So she will not be able to join us this
Who's
morning.
very sick?
Her cousin is
Oh
very,
my
very
gosh.
sick.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll definitely keep
We'll
everybody there.
reschedule her and
And you, Ralph, because you're part of our
yeah,
family now. You're like,
Yeah,
once you become part of our
there you
family,
go. I
like,
love it. I love
sorry,
it.
you're joining us.
My pleasure.
Good, Laura, Judy.
this show is entitled We Are One. I'm going to read Lawnae's background. She is a returning guest. She had a problem this morning with a family member who's ill, but I do want to read her press and we will reschedule her. Lawnae Hunter suffered a severe stroke while on vacation at the Turks, Caicos Island. The hospital staff doctors discovered that Lawnae had a large, benign brain tumor that had been there for years, and the pressure of the growing tumor had caused the stroke. It was a hard journey back to health with physical and emotional struggles and plagued with setbacks. During the time of recovery, she had time to reflect and meet new people in the stroke community and become passionate about cheering on stroke survivors through recovery, and dedicated her life to the people on this journey. Her story is recorded in the book, Just Say Yes to Life, where she describes having a small stroke, TIA, and was unable to speak for a few minutes. Yet she continued on with her daily appointments, not mentioning the symptoms to anyone, which had she gotten help, would have prevented the massive stroke she had 30 days later. Lawnae emphasizes the importance for people to learn the signs of stroke and to lose no time going to the emergency room. Lives can be saved. Brain damage can be prevented. Lawnae Hunter is the founding board member treasurer of Stroke Awareness Oregon. She is also the owner broker of Plus Property Management. Ralph Cortez, founding broadcaster, executive producer of Stroke Warriors Radio, is a semi-retired businessman who moved to Bend, Oregon in March of 2022 to be near his family. His background includes sales management of major insurance company and vice president and partner in a regional employment agency in Tucson, Arizona. Prior to moving to Bend, Ralph had a construction business in Arizona, North Dakota, and Pennsylvania. He currently manages Southside Storage in Bend and is co-founder of Stroke Warrior Radio. After having a stroke in October 2015, Ralph became involved with Stroke Awareness Oregon, SAO. Upon arriving in Central Oregon, he attributes the most significant strides in his stroke recovery to the support he received from other survivors and the opportunity to get involved by leading a monthly men's support group. He also credits quality physical therapy from Spark Rehab and Wellness with his ongoing and improved recovery. Ralph's commitment to public service goes back to coaching youth and high school sports. Director of Christian Education and Involvement with Junior Chamber of Commerce. Stroke Warrior Radio, SWR, a production of Stroke Warrior Wave Communications, LLC, is on the air 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. SWR Internet, a cloud-based radio station, provides talk programming content with music interludes. Current contributions include physical, occupational, mental health therapists, life coaches, and medical-based content. Feature shows provide information for the prevention of stroke and stroke survivor stories. Additional shows help guide those recently having a stroke with information about job changes, insurance, and for the patients. Both Lawnae and Ralph discuss positive hope and recovery even after some years. And I'd like to welcome Ralph and hopefully a little later in the show, Lawnae.
Yay!
So, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Oh my God, we're so honored to have you. And Lawnae is a part of our family. So she does incredible work, incredible. But I have to ask you before we begin, because we just had a little wind chime sound.
Okay.
Where are they? They're beautiful. Why did you get a wind chime? I'm just curious.
Actually, that was the phone chime.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not a wind chime.
Also on this end.
It's kind of a reminder thing I put on my phone for time, because I do so many things. I have to keep track of my time a little better than after my stroke than I used to.
Wow. And you know what? And that leads us into, we'll talk about your story in a little bit, but I've had to change how I operate as well, because you have to make it work. So it doesn't matter how you make it work. It just matters that you are aware that you have to change some things to make yourself successful. For instance, when I perform, there's songs that I have problems remembering a line or an intro line, right? So if I just have that line just where I could see it, so that I know that I'll just go back to that area, look at that line, and then so it's not that I don't know how to sing. It's not that I don't, I'm no good. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I've had to reevaluate and handle myself differently, right?
Right, exactly. It's people don't realize you don't lose the intellect. It's you actually have it inside you, but it's an inward disease sometimes that people aren't aware of. There's a lack of awareness out there for prevention and a lack of awareness for dealing with stroke survivors as well.
Yeah. And how people look at us,
Yes, exactly. There's a stigma.
Yeah, I always,
Yeah.
I never engaged in that. Initially, I didn't get engaged in that. I just was like, okay, let me do this, let me do that. And people are looking at me like I didn't realize, like I looked, my right arm and, my right side. And, when I smile or, when I spoke, sometimes I would stumble a long time ago. And they were looking at me like, but I didn't ever realize it. And all of a sudden, like people had to make me aware of, the way that, so I could understand how people saw me,
Yes.
how people, and then how to react to it, to handle it. Like if somebody does look at me a little cross-eyed, I could share with them why, give them some insight into why I am the way I am, and what happens, and how blessed I am to be here, and give them an education lesson right then and there. So it's very interesting. So let's backtrack a little bit, Ralph. Give us a
Okay.
little story on your stroke, and then we'll get into all the other stuff that we'd like to talk to about.
Okay. Well, my stroke was in October 23rd of 2015. I had come home at the time. Had a contract in a summer camp in Pennsylvania, and I had finished 2 roofs and 4 porches that week. So I sat there after work on Friday night and was watching my news with my normal iced tea, and I fell asleep. When I woke up, the whole left side was gone. I had an
Wow.
incredibly massive headache, and
Wow.
I thought, I worked so hard this week. I took some ibuprofen and went to bed. So we'll get into the awareness thing after.
Right. Right.
But I woke up the next morning and thought, there's something going on. So I called an ambulance. And when they came, they told me I had a stroke. Do you want to go to the hospital? And I said, who the hell wants to go to the hospital? Do I have, right? Do I have to?
Wait. I have to stop you there. I have, because I have some questions on that. When you suffer a stroke, our ambulance need to ask you if you want to go to the hospital?
Well, let me
I'll
finish
just,
the
I mean,
story and you're going to love this.
well, no, that's something I got to ask some of my ambulance friends, because yes, if someone hurts their leg or they spray or they're not feeling well, like that. But if they said to you, you suffered a stroke, like let's take you to the hospital, like
Right.
anyway,
Well,
go ahead.
and what he did say back to me was, no, you don't have to. You've already had your stroke.
Oh no.
I swear to you, that's exactly what happened.
And I don't want to hear what ambulance it was because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. But
Exactly.
but
But
but it's just information for everybody.
yeah,
Okay.
you need to go to the hospital in an ambulance. You're put to the front of the line,
Yes.
so
Yes. Yes.
again, awareness.
Because
But
time is of the essence when you suffered a stroke, or when you think you're suffering a stroke, or you could possibly be suffering a stroke. Time is of the essence. 911. And when you call the ambulance, not that you were aware of this, but when you call the ambulance, if you're aware that it could be a stroke, you need to let them know so that they can be in alert and they can go there and take you, and then take you to the hospital and pass triage. I think we lost Ralph as I'm rambling on. Okay.
no problem. Well, I called another ambulance 3 hours later after I looked up on my phone what I thought was going on, and I found out, this I need to go to the hospital. So I crawled around the house because I couldn't walk, and I got some clothes ready because I knew I was going. And 3 hours later, I got another ambulance, and I was waiting outside for him.
Three
Told him the
hours later.
story. So
Oh my
just to tell
God.
you, those guys got fired that day, the first
Good.
ambulance.
Thank you.
So they rushed me to Scranton, Pennsylvania, to the hospital, and that was fantastic. I started hearing this code stuff, and I really don't remember much, but I do remember 3 or 4 nurses or aides trying to get me out of bed and stand up, which I couldn't do. But we started physical therapy right away. My daughter came in on Sunday from Tucson or Colorado Springs, and that's where the story begins. I mean, It was a brainstem stroke. I lost the use of my left side. But we'll
It
get
was
in.
an ischemic stroke?
I'm not, I don't remember, honestly.
They didn't say anything about a hemorrhagic stroke.
No, nobody ever said hemorrhagic. So, yeah, it was somewhere in my brainstem, but I did lose my left side. My speech was slurred. My memory was crap. Terrible. Sorry.
Oh,
And
that's okay.
then, I was in the hospital 7 days. The residents and their little following wanted me to go inpatient, and I couldn't go inpatient. I had a life. I was one of those that was so angry about it that I continued my life, you know. But my neurologist said I could go home. So guess what? I went home. My daughter and I decided I lived on a beautiful pond, a lake in the Poconos, in a little cabin. It was awesome, but I couldn't live there alone. I couldn't do it. So I sold off my life. Essentially, I sold all my construction tools,
Wow.
all of those things from the contracting business. And you're not going to believe it. I was so angry. I drove out to Colorado Springs to be with my daughter and her family because
Wow.
they
Oh
had,
my God, you were able to drive?
yeah, took breaks constantly because the pain and it was, I should have never done it. It was probably the worst thing I could have done, but I made it. So, and my kids were
Wow.
fantastically supportive. My grandchildren were incredible to me. Um, my grandson, I was writing a cookbook at the time for Italian food, and he became the first member of my team because he wanted to cook with me. So him and I used to cook at night and teach him how to cook, and he'd do all the work, and I'd tell him how to do it. So that was the first team for me that created my recovery. One
Wow.
of the things I found
And
early on
and
is,
and 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 Ralph, I don't mean to, but that's
oh,
Judy's motto. Judy's motto is you need to surround yourself with positive people so that you can have a healthy recovery. And sometimes you were blessed because it was your family, but sometimes it's not your family. Sometimes you have to go into a rehabilitation center. Sometimes, to get that whatever support you need to recover. And that's something that people need to set up prior to an emergency so
yes,
that because you were at least in the right state of mind that what you needed, but some people aren't in the right state of mind to be able to
exactly.
do that.
Renee,
Exactly.
can I just interrupt for a moment?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing this on Facebook and I don't have a copy yet.
I sent you it twice, so it is on your page. I'm on your page and I see it. So maybe you can't
Okay.
see it, but it is there.
Okay, I'm just worrying about
No,
it.
no, no, no. I totally get it. I totally get it. You're there.
So I don't see it.
I sent you a photo too to just show you that it is on your page. So anyway,
Great.
Judy wants to make sure all her viewers are, because she's gonna get to work when we get done. Like, woo, woo.
Yeah, there you go.
She sends it to everybody around the world. Before I forget, because one of the things that I do, because of my stroke, is I forget. That's why I write everything down. Is we should do a cooking show together
Oh,
because
I'd love it.
yes, like you cook in your area, I'll cook in mine, and we'll do it live, and we'll do okay. Because I'm writing a cookbook too called Recipe for Life.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Yeah, I've
yes,
actually started using my Italian food because I grew up in Jersey.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh, you grew up in
Italian
Jersey?
food,
Where?
South Plainfield in Middlesex County by
Oh,
Rutgers.
wow. I live in
Yeah.
Hawthorne, New Jersey.
Where?
Hawthorne, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Know
yeah,
exactly where that is.
yeah,
Are
yeah.
you a short Jersey Shore girl
Uh,
too?
we used to go every weekend, every weekend.
Me
Down,
too.
down. My father used to own a house in Tom's River.
Oh, okay.
So Seaside Park, Point Pleasant, the whole
Oh, yeah. I'm going to
thing.
Point Pleasant in October for my 50th high school reunion.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
so looking forward to it. I think my kids are even going to come.
Good, good,
Yeah,
good. Let
yeah.
me know when you're going to Point Pleasant. Let me know if I could come down to meet you. I'll come down.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah,
That would
yeah,
be
yeah.
great.
Anyway, let's back. Enough.
Yeah,
We're like,
yeah, exactly. During the Yankees.
Yankees too. Derek Jeter, great guy, great guy. So,
Well, with my story, I'll go back to that. With my story, it took 6.5 years. I was alone in Colorado Springs for about 6 years. My daughter had moved away back to Tucson, Arizona. And I lived alone for 6 years. I was in a decent medical facility that I went twice a week. I did physical therapy, occupational therapy to learn how to handwrite again, good
wow,
old cursive. Um, but, it got to the point there where therapists would just put me on a bicycle and walk away. And,
Oh,
yeah, it wasn't really enough therapy. So I was on a walker for a very long time. Then it came, but then I came up to Bend, Oregon. And this is the best part of the story because I was told this is as good as it's going to get within a year of my stroke. But after
right,
6.5 years, I came to Oregon. I found more survivors. I found good physical therapy. And within 9 months of moving up here, because of support groups from SAO, because of the people in SAO, because of Lawnae, she was an incredible friend to me. We have gotten me off my AFO, ankle foot orthotic. I
wow,
don't no longer use a cane. And in the last year and a half, I can now run on a treadmill, both
wow.
water and land. So I never had hope till I got up here.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That that
wow.
is one of the big keys for me and Stroke Warrior Radio. Share my hope with people because
Yes.
it is not as good as it gets.
Yes, yes. And that's why we do what we do, because we want to bring hope to everybody. We want to share with them that there is life after stroke, and it is a new road. And we always talk about this, Ralph, and I know you'll understand it, is that whether it's a stroke or a heart attack or cancer or life always changes, whether it's a divorce, whether you have a
Yes,
like the one thing in life that's guaranteed is change, right?
yes.
And we have to learn how to deal with it, you know. And it's true. You have to. We everybody needs hope. It doesn't matter who you are. And the fact that we have to bring stroke awareness to everybody. The ambulance people that went to see you first and didn't take you to the hospital. I mean,
I can't believe that. I can't believe it.
that blew my mind.
Call
I swear to you.
911. I mean,
I
I
swear
can't
to you.
believe that they would be like that.
Yeah, it was almost flippant. It just slays me to this day that they
God
did that.
forbid you could have died. And they,
Yeah,
Well, and the other thing that really bothered me about it is I didn't know I was having a stroke. So that I'm fighting. We give out Be Fast cards all over the city and county. I mean,
right.
those, people have to know what's happening. If I would
Yeah,
have gotten to the hospital, I could have had that TPA. Who knows how good my recovery would have been or
right,
is.
right, it
right,
would have
right,
been proved.
right. And the last two shows, we had two guests on, Joanne and Richard.
Richard.
And Joanne, she was in Las Vegas. She was in Las Vegas she
I'm
was,
not sure.
no,
She worked for a
she was at the
company.
Tropicana. She said she was at the
Yeah, yeah.
Tropicana.
Could have been
And she,
Atlantic City. I don't know.
yeah, oh, well, yeah, that's true. She spoke to a bunch of people and nobody knew, like nobody ever stopped to say you're
They
having,
couldn't understand what she was saying, and yet they didn't try to help her.
Exactly, exactly.
and
And
it's
people just
crazy.
don't know it. I mean,
And
Stroke Awareness Oregon, we've actually started a program with the school district we've created
that is remarkable.
a comic book for, I think it's 11-year-olds, a comic book on stroke education, how to call 911, all of that kind of stuff. So
Wow.
we're starting to spread the word, and hopefully the Stroke Awareness Oregon and through Stroke Warrior Radio, we can expand our outreach a lot more.
Oh, that's incredible. So let's talk about the radio station, because that's, wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. We were at a stroke awareness walkathon last year, walk and wheelathon, or 2 years ago. And Lawnae introduced me to another person in the book, Jim Patterson. And he said, that voice, you could put me to sleep. And I said, is that a compliment or what?
You have a radio voice. You have a
Yeah.
radio voice.
Oh,
And that's
definitely.
exactly what he said. He said, you know, we can do all kinds of stuff. You can record, do voiceovers. And then he said, you know what? There's this radio server thing that you can do an internet cloud-based radio station and broadcast whatever you want. So it took me, my stroke brain, it took me 9 months to learn the 97 tutorials from that server. But we got it on the air April 4th of last year, and we've been on the air 1 year in a couple of weeks. And we broadcast 24/7. We're listened to in 16 different countries.
Wow.
We have 12 hourly shows that bring on stroke survivors, therapists, support groups from SAO, rebroadcast and audio. 2 other stroke survivors share their podcasts as audios.
Wow.
And then we have music that is on also. You know, so there's a whole life coaching shows. You know, there's 12 different kinds of shows there.
Wow.
You're right. Music and memory, very important for stroke.
Very important because and I do various genres like jazz, 70s. This week on weekends, it's 50s, 60s classic rock.
So so this station is yours?
Yes, it is.
Oh, good.
Yes, it is. It's a independent LLC, and it should be a nonprofit because that's how it's working so far. But yeah, we broadcast a lot. We've interviewed Zoom. We interview in person. I actually have a studio, soundproofing the whole 9 yards.
Oh, wow.
It's really cool. And it's taken me a year to learn it because I used to be able to do coding and stuff, but now I couldn't tell you anything about coding.
Yeah, but you don't need to know coding nowadays. Nowadays, everything is automatic. You know,
but it took a while to relearn the software, learn the server software, all of that stuff, and the quality is finally near what I wanted. So we're getting a lot more listeners, we're getting a lot more followers, and it's going very well.
Yeah, we used to use, I'm forgetting the name of the server we used to use. But Jim, who is our technical engineer, he brought us into, I forget what the name is. But I canceled it because it wasn't worth it to me. If I had time to only do this, then yes, I looked for a studio. I love that world. Like, it's me. Maybe in the future I'll do it, but right now, it's not worth the money to invest in that when I'm not fully engaged in dedicating myself to it. I have to work. So
exactly the same thing as I'm doing right now because I just don't really have the time for any of my jobs. But the radio is a passion for me because I can't. What I learned from other survivors is what changed my life.
Yes.
It wasn't a therapist in the beginning. It was talking to other survivors.
Yeah.
I mean, one of our shows is the Roz and Clay show. Roz and Clay are married. She had a stroke. He's the caregiver. They're 5 years post-stroke, and we share everything. We call it events and adventures.
Wow.
I mean, just lay it all out.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah,
it really is.
In my world, God pushed me into doing this. I was never really a talker. I'm a singer. I never wanted to talk, but it's so funny because this woman, when I worked for the Wanakee Reserve, Judy, did you know Lawnae? That's how you say your name, right?
Yeah.
Lawnae has a management company, which is what I work for in here in New Jersey. And what was I going to say? Oh, I was working for this community one time, and I'll never forget. It was a divine moment in time that stopped, and this woman Gloria walked to me, and it was like everything around us stopped. And she said, she knew I was a singer. She goes, singing is not going to be your forte. It's going to be talking. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm a singer. I don't like, I don't, like, and she goes, no, that's where you're going to make, the difference is by talking. So here I am.
I understand that. I understand that because years ago, I was very shy.
Yeah.
And I was forced to give speeches in front of the press and different places. And I didn't even know about it till maybe a half hour before.
Yeah.
And I was asked to, my whole office was invited to New York to a studio to watch my boss on in preparation for a show that I was getting him on after that. And a man came out into the audience and said, where's Judy Morello? Took me by the wrist and said, you're on the panel. And I said, no, I'm not. He said, we don't have time to argue about it. And he put me on the panel, dead center. Okay. And the curtain behind, I have to share this, the curtain behind, he hung photos or pictures on. And when he started the music, each and every one of those pictures fell off. When the one behind me hit the ground, I started to laugh and shake and I couldn't stop. And he said, he made a face at me and I literally bit the inside of my mouth to be able to control myself and took the Dale Carnegie course after that. And now you can't get me to stop talking.
What's a good thing?
No longer shy.
Well, it's amazing. It's become amazing to me that, like Stroke Awareness Oregon, Stroke Warrior Radio, stroke support groups. There's a couple places up here like Partners in Care, another palliative care place. There's Destination Rehab, Spark Rehab and Wellness. There's a bunch of places that once you become a part of a community, your recovery becomes better.
Yes.
Not only physically, but mentally.
Yes.
There's a mental health aspect that people don't realize. You need to get some counseling. Maybe not counseling, but you do need to talk to other survivors. Find them, look it up, research.
Yeah.
We have to fight for ourselves because nobody else is going to do it. They look at me and say, you don't look like you've had a stroke. And I tell them, try inside me and see what a stroke recovery is.
Yeah. That's what's happening with Dr. Beckwith and Good Samaritan Hospital in Sayville.
Yes. Yeah. There's so many places out there. There's peer-to-peer support programs that SAO just started as well for up here, that we go out and talk to stroke survivors. I just talked to a gentleman this last Wednesday night, helped him get set up on disability and those kind of things. There's 30 questions in 30 days. These are all the things that you need to know. These are all the things that you need to get. And this is what's going to happen to you. It's going to be the most difficult thing to do in your life. But once you start doing it and fighting for yourself, it will get better.
Yeah. When I was one time I was an ambassador for a hospital, and that's that was when the important thing that I shared with them, that they're the ones that have to do it. You can surround yourself with a lot of wonderful people, but they can't do it for you. You're the one that has to fight it through. You're the one that has to have the passion and the desire to recover. And the truth is that it's not something that's going to be overnight. It's going to be, years in the making. You have to just kind of allow yourself the grace to recover at a pace that is good for you, because we're all different, right? We some of us are Speedy Gonzalez like me, and some of us don't have they're just not. They're more laid back. Like Joanna was on our show prior. She's a very soft and gentle, person, and she doesn't do things in a fast way, which I'm actually in the process of gracing myself to take it a little bit slower, to experience all the to enjoy the moments, to really
Yeah,
enjoy the moments. Because after so many years of fighting and trying to educate and trying to now I have to really enjoy the moments. Enjoy the moments. Do you feel that, Ralph?
oh, definitely. I think self-care is one of the most important things that you can do. I mean, there's one of the things I realized later on, unfortunately, in the last 2 years, was stroke warriors achieve victories every day. Okay. Every day there's a victory. One of the things that I've never been good at is accepting the fact what I got accomplished. It's always, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
What did I do today? First thing I woke up, go back 8.5 years. I may not have woken up that Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I woke up. I was able to get out of bed. I was able to make my own breakfast. Those little victories are what lead to the big victories for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So go ahead, Judy.
Judy, you're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I just want to say one thing. Having signs of a stroke, the worst thing you could do is go to sleep or lie down. Because
Yes.
God forbid, you might not wake up.
Yeah.
It might get worse. And I think we should advise the public to never go to sleep if you have signs of a stroke. Get help immediately.
Mm.
Yes. I mean, and expand that. There's TBI, there's all kinds of different things that they're brain attacks, and you have to pay attention to that. Again, be fast. Check your balance, check your eyesight, check your face group, check your arms. Raise two arms up. If one drops, you have one or two, call a hospital. Your speech is off. And the last part of it is time. Call 911.
Yeah.
Don't drive there. Don't have somebody drive there. You're in the front of the line when you're in an ambulance.
Just like Lawnae, she had signs of a stroke, and it was a TIA, and she let it go, and she, paused for a short time, let it go, didn't tell anyone, went on a vacation, and that's when she got a massive stroke.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know why stroke has not been that prevalent in education. It really needs to be, because if you look at the statistics, what is it, 30 or 40% of new strokes are younger than 50 years old? I've actually interviewed a couple of survivors that had their strokes at 7, 12, 21. I mean, one of them, the police looked around her apartment for drugs. The education is not just for people, it's for the medical community, the police departments, the rescue squads, all of those people.
And there's another thing, a severe headache. My dad had a severe headache. He didn't tell me about it. I noticed swollen ankles. I took him to the doctor, and the doctor said he was in the best of health for his age. 2 weeks later, he had a massive stroke. The day he had the massive stroke, he had the worst headache, and he must have had it even back then, but he didn't tell the doctor. He told the whole neighborhood. He was outside, sitting outside, told everybody, but he didn't share it with me. And I always checked up on him because my mom had passed and he was living alone. And I called him every morning at 9 and every evening at 9. That Sunday, I called him at 5 to tell him, I've got a cell phone. I can keep in touch with you more. I don't think he liked that too much.
Yeah, right.
When I called at 9, there was no answer. And I started panicking because I don't live near him. And I called all his neighbors. The super went to his apartment and found him on the floor and said, I called again, and the super said he had looks like a massive stroke, and they're sending him to the hospital. And I got in my car and drove there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's getting better. The talk about strokes. Ever since Luke Perry died, he was 55. He had a massive stroke and he died. I think that prior to that, it was always thought that strokes happen to your grandparents and
Exactly.
not to the anyone. And I don't know if Ralph, you know, I had a stroke at 26, age
Oh,
26. So I
okay.
was 26 years old when mine happened. So I am living proof that there is life after stroke, especially when it happens younger. The younger you are, the more you know, you have a better chance of your recovery because, you know, you're stronger, you're healthier, you know, you don't have other, you know, as we get older, we got other situations that we have to deal with, like with anything, you know.
Right.
So I think, but I do believe that strokes are a little bit more spoken about, and really strokes are so general in topic, right? When you talk about a stroke, because there's so many variables on a stroke of how you could have had a stroke and what the occurrence was and what vein and, you know, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And I don't know anything about that, but I know we've had many, I mean, 10 years of shows we've done. We've been doing this for 10 years, Judy and myself. And it really, you know, there's so many different variables. So, you know, you have a stroke show, we have a stroke show. There's a lot of stroke shows, not a lot, but they're getting more. And that's
Right.
the important thing. And Judy, who was it that wanted to bring all the stroke organizations together?
Lawnae.
Lawnae,
Lawnae.
which is we've been many years ago. I said to Judy and said to my foundation, we want to have one representative in each state because we feel the same way. More power together than it is separated, you know.
Exactly.
And if we're speaking the same language, that universal discussion is really powerful. It's really powerful, and that's why we want to also to have a gala, because you should be celebrating together the same way Tim Tebow does with those children. You know, he does for those
Tell
kids.
Ralph about your idea.
Yeah, well, we're actually creating a letter to send to Tim Tebow to ask him, you know, we don't want to copy you, but you know, you're doing this wonderful work for that community. You know, it's Down syndrome and special needs children, that we want to bring the same thing in for stroke survivors. We want to have a gala. We want to have a celebration for life on one specific day, you know, and maybe it can be October 15th, because October 20, no, 31st or something like that is stroke universal stroke day.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm
yeah.
unsure, but we want to pick that day so we're all taking photos and streaming and connecting, and
That will bring more
that will bring
attention.
awareness to it. Right,
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
I
And
just
I
want
mean, there's so much we need to do. We need to tell people about the precursors to stroke, like diabetes,
Right.
obesity,
Yes, yes,
drug
yes,
use, you know, all those
yes,
things have to be made aware of. Nutrition. I
yeah.
mean, I've changed my diet to Mediterranean diet almost because I'm not going away from beef.
to.
Yeah, but we were just talking about this on the last show, right? 80%, you got to live an 80% healthy lifestyle. That's
Yes,
what they say. 80%. If you live a 80% healthy lifestyle, then that other 20%, you have flexibility to enjoy the sweets and enjoy, you know, and then you live a healthy lifestyle, unless the doctor tells you otherwise, because we always have to make sure that people are following doctor's orders, you know.
yes.
But yeah,
But you know, it goes down to, here's my family history, here's awareness of what a stroke is. I mean, everybody knows what a heart attack is,
yes,
you know, but then again, they don't, because my wife, before my wife died several years ago, she had back pain. And women, a heart attack is not the
and
same as a
chest.
man's heart attack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was in her back for months, and she died on the table. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, and then she came back, but I mean, she saw the light in the tunnel. So, but she came back and passed away during COVID. But anyway,
Can't even
there's
imagine.
all kinds of information about heart out there. There's all kinds of information about diabetes. Now we need to start talking about stroke. You know, it's the number one cause of disability in the country.
Yep.
So we need to get the information out there. And if we don't do it as stroke survivors, who's going to do it?
Nobody.
Right. You know,
Yep.
we have our family to think of and educating them. It's the old thing. If you have something good to say it to somebody and they're going to say it to 9 people. Those 9 people are going to spread it to 9 people.
Right.
Right.
It builds from there.
Yeah, I agree. It's incredible, the work that you guys are doing and Lawnae has done. Let's talk about Lawnae for a
Yeah,
few minutes
please.
because you talk about her, Ralph, because let's give her a plug to her organization and to the work she's doing.
She and I have to say she's become an excellent friend to me. Um, Her and Stroke Awareness Oregon, thank God she did it, changed my life for the better. She started it with another stroke survivor that she met in therapy at the hospital. And after that, she got a doctor to co-found with her, who's no longer involved, but they founded it. And the big thing was the awareness. They started out with fast cards with a little squiggly man on it. We call him a squiggly man. And we passed out 50,000 in the past 3 years, I believe it is. This year, I know the person I work with in a storage facility, her and her sister alone passed out 4,000 in the last 3 months. So now we're in the Be Fast cards. We have this is an outstanding thing. Our president Jim Patterson reached out to Randy Travis, who had a stroke in 2013, and he's coming May 13th, a night with Randy Travis and Mary Travis to tell their story.
Wow, that's incredible. I reached out to Randy. I tried to get him on our show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's got aphasia and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
It's not a concert. They're going to talk about the difficulties in the hospital, those kind of things. A lot of times doctors will want to pull the plug. And if it wasn't for wives or family,
Your advocate. You need to have
yeah.
an advocate around you.
And that's part of the education process as well.
Ralph?
We need to set it. Sorry, Judy, just I know, just before I forget, we need to set that up prior to our illness. We need to have advocates set in place prior so that we're set up. And hopefully nothing will happen. Sorry, Judy, go ahead.
Well, I talked to my parents about having that kind of setup, that they should know about it and they should have the proxy set up and all that, but they both didn't pay attention. And my dad had the hemorrhagic stroke. And when I got to the hospital, I went on the information line and I said, I need to know who the neurologist in charge is. And all of a sudden I got shoved off the line. And this guy went up to the receptionist and said, do I have any messages? And she said, yes, the woman you just shoved off the line is the daughter of your latest patient. He comes over to me and he says, your dad had a hemorrhagic stroke. There's nothing you can do about it. He's going to die either today or within the next few days. And there's absolutely nothing you could do about it. And I said, doctor, yes, there is something I can do about it. You are fired. Yes. And I got a different neurologist, and my dad made it another 3 years and 3 months.
And that's another thing that a lot of stroke survivors don't know, that in your recovery process, you can fire your physical therapist. You can go out and interview and check out the facilities for your physical therapist, an occupational therapist, acupuncturist. I mean, there's all kinds of treatments out there that may work, and go out and be your own advocate. If you've got to fight for yourself. I got to the dark place twice. I sat in front. It was a very dark place twice. If it wasn't for the pictures of my grandchildren on the wall, I don't know if I'd be here. So, I mean, it can get that bad, and people have to share with others.
I didn't know I was going to be an advocate, but
exactly
it happened, and I took action. They had to the only way to save my dad was to put a feeding tube in. And my husband supported me with that, but the rest, my brother, who came in from Maine, said no, and he was trying to get the rest of the family to agree with him. And I said, it doesn't matter. I'm the one that's in charge here. I'm the one that's going to be here for my dad, and he's getting a feeding tube if that saves his life.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, same thing with Randy and Mary. There's so many other stories out there like that. There's so many other stories out there on the opposite side.
And it's so wonderful that he's using his platform
Yes.
to bring stroke awareness to.
Yeah, he started a foundation for awareness as well. Randy did.
Great.
Right. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And you know, you got to use what you can when you've had a stroke. Where does he live? Does he live in Oregon?
No, he lives in Texas.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're bringing him up here for that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, let us know when it's on so that we could share it with everybody, so that we could take the link and let everybody know where it is. And
I'll send it to you, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've been on. Can you believe we've been on for an hour? Like just yapping.
Wow.
It seems like 5 minutes.
I know.
Between the three of us, we certainly can talk.
I know. Well, especially when you have so much in common, like where you came from, and you're Italian, and your food, and we all have stroke in common, and we have a radio station. Like, is it? So you have to come back when Lawnae comes back.
Yes, I'm gonna rebook you.
Yeah.
Please, I'd love to.
Yes, and let her know that we're praying for her cousin. I think it was, right?
Thank you. Yes, it was.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. So, the other thing is that we forget we're on live. I'm like, oh, I gotta say goodbye to everybody. Like we're all talking like we're on a Zoom meeting, but we forgot you were all here. We're having such a just a wonderful conversation. Thank you for joining us today. And Ralph, is there anything that you want to share with our audience? The last memos,
I'd love to share the websites for both of us. StrokeAwarenessOregon.org is the website for Stroke Awareness Oregon. You'll find all kinds of information and resources. And my website is strokewarriorradio.com. If you go there, you hit the tune in button and you can hear our shows 24/7 with news at the top of the hour, music, everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And we look forward to following you and to whatever we can do to help you, because like Lawnae says, we have to work.
And Ralph, I want you to know that you're part of our enormous family.
Yes.
And someday in the future, René is going to rent out Yankee Stadium. And we're going to be able to fill it with all the people that we've had on all our shows over the years.
And my problem is going to be who gets front row seats. Like, everybody's my family. We have to do it circular so everybody could be around us, Let's do a concert because, music is my world. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a healing tool as well. But yeah, I thank you very much for having me on. It's been an honor, and I hope to do it more with you.
I'm gonna send you one of my original song, so maybe you can play it on your podcast.
Oh, I'd love to.
Play it in the middle. That's the only one you want to have problems with streaming.
And I'm also going to send Ralph the podcast that Dr. Beckleyus is doing. It's phenomenal. Yes. It should be shared.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to do that. Yeah, we can cross promote. We can cross promote each other. There's a bunch of stuff we can do together. So let's communicate after this as well.
And the cooking show. We are going to do a cooking.
There you go.
We are going to do
it.
Ralph, when you do something that's fun, and in the back, it's the stroke, right? You do something that's fun with cooking and stuff like that. And then, the promo is a stroke survivors cook together, it's a great thing. It's a great thing when we do that. So anyway, we got to stop. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining us. We had such a great conversation today. On 3, we always blow kisses. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Bye everybody. See you next time. Bye.
Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo que haré, yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo, yo no sé lo que va a pasar, no me puedes escuchar. ti. No me puedes oír, no me puedes escuchar. No me puedes escuchar, llorar, llorar. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír, llorar.
Just this broken soul. I'm always a giver, but I'm never known. And I'm just this lonely man, alone on the river with my heart in my hand. The conversation, they're all dead. The lines held up inside my head. I left here like a broken man, with no idea of where I stand.